Hello and welcome to the Today's Homeowner Weekly Podcast. We're here to help you with the challenges we all face as homeowners. I'm Danny Lipford.
And I'm Joe Truini. And each week, Danny and I are here on the podcast to answer any and all home improvement questions.
And we want to hear from you. Send us your questions or comments at todayshomeowner.com/podcast.
Okay, Danny, let's get started.
Today's Homeowner Podcast is brought to you by the Home Depot. How doers get more done. This week, we'll share with you a number of ways you can prevent your faucets from leaking. A leaky faucet can be so aggravating and end up costing you a lot of money. Also, we'll be checking in with Chelsea to see what's happening in this month's episode on checkinginwithchelsea.com. Also, we're having some problems with removing adhesive from a beautiful tile floor. You don't want to damage the tile. What can you do? We have the suggestions on that. Also, if you're having any kind of problem with mildew in your bathrooms, there's 2 or 3 things that you have to do, and it really starts with proper ventilation. But how do you do that with a home that may be several decades old? We'll share with you a few things there. Roofing repairs, that's another leak you don't want to deal with, and we have a particular situation here that we're going to find a solution to. And squeaky floors, that's no fun when you're sneaking over to get a midnight snack. You want the floors to be really, really quiet. And of course, we've got a great simple solution for you. Joe, what can we look for?
Well, every bathroom needs its small trash can, but they seem to always be in the way, especially if you have a smaller bathroom. So I've got a simple solution how to keep a trash can in your bathroom, but have it hidden away.
All right, that sounds great. Let's get started. Terry is in Iowa with an unwanted drippy faucet. Terry, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Tell us about this, because we get a lot of calls about leaky faucets and so forth. Every one of them is a bit different, but I understand you have tried a few things on this one. Tell us all about it.
I have. It's a 2-handle tub shower, and it was leaking around the stem of the cold side. And when you shut the water off, it would still drip from both the hot and the cold side. So I replaced the O-rings and washers on both stems and tried that, but that didn't stop it. So I purchased new stems and new seats, and I replaced that also, and it slowed it down, but it didn't stop it. So the last thing I tried was, on the cold side was the worst. The hot side, it slowed it down quite a bit, but on the cold side, underneath the stem, or the seat I put in, I rolled a small bit of Teflon tape to put under the lip of the seat above the threads and put it in, and that hasn't stopped it at all. So
wow.
I'm still getting some water out of the cold side stem, more so when the hot water and the cold water are running together, but I still get a drip when the water is shut off.
Huh. Boy, oh boy, you have rebuilt that whole entire faucet. Joe, I wonder if you think there might be some damage in that seat at the very bottom. I know I've dealt with a faucet before that was problematic, and the homeowners just kept tightening that thing up and tightening it up to where it eventually created a depression in that metal seat inside the faucet. And no matter how many washers we put on it, it never did. You think that's a possibility?
Yeah, you could redress the seat. Terry, if you had called us before doing all this work, I would have told you to do everything you've already done. So I'm a little bit of a loss. Now, the only other thing that it could possibly be, I guess there would be a couple of things, but one is the diverter itself. Sometimes diverters fail, they crack or they wear out a little bit, and they can cause water. The diverter, for listeners who aren't exactly sure what that is, that's just either the little lever or the little knob that you pull up that diverts the water from the tub spout to the shower head, when you want to take a shower as opposed to fill up the tub. And that, if that's failing at all, water can sneak past it and it's going to come out the tub spout, not the shower head. And also if the tub spout itself if it's threaded on, some are threaded on, some are just slipped on and held with a set screw. But either way, if it's threaded on and that nipple that it threads onto is worn or cracked, gets split somehow, water can sometimes slip through there as well. So those are the only other 2 things that I'm not sure you've mentioned that you might want to check.
The tub spout is threaded on.
Okay.
It's got a little knob you pull up to divert it to the shower head. But if it's dripping from there, and you say it could be the diverter valve, doesn't it have to get past the stem and the valve first before it goes to that part?
It would.
So,
yeah, it would.
So then that would eliminate that as the probable leak, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, that's why if it's not the stem, I'm not sure what else it could be. Because you're right, if it's getting past the stem, then, I'm not sure what's short of replacing the valve. I'm not sure what else you could do.
Yeah, and the good news about that is you actually have some really innovative valves that you can replace from the inside and not have to tear out but just a little of the wall so that you don't have that cosmetic issue. Terry, hope we've been able to help you with a few more ways. I can tell you've worked a lot on that faucet, and hopefully just a little more finesse will solve that leak problem. We love to provide you resources whenever we can, especially when they're very good, that we approve, and they are free. And want to let you know that our friends at the Metal Roofing Alliance have a comprehensive residential metal roofing buyer's guide. It's completely free at metalroofing.com. You need to check it out because it's a 23-page guide that covers a range of topics from how you know when it's time to put on a new roof to everything and anything you need to know about metal roofing. And this is good quality information because the Metal Roofing Alliance is a nonprofit organization that helps homeowners find quality installers, and that roof is only going to be as good as the person that installs it. So you can find out more and download the entire buyer's guide for free at metalroofing.com. Hey, right now we're going to join our Checking In with Chelsea host, Chelsea Lipford Wolf, to talk a little bit about her upcoming episode. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing good.
Hi, Chelsea.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah, happy holidays.
So what are you up to and what's happening on Checking In with Chelsea?
Well, I made something that's a little bit crazy but kind of cool. Is a concrete Christmas tree stand.
Huh.
So instead of like the typical green ones, or they have those what they call tree collars these days that look like woven baskets, I created a concrete stand. So very unique. It's a little bit heavy, but it's really neat. And, of course, all the details are in a video on checkingInWithChelsea.com right now.
And I assume that one of the motivations there was your son and my grandson, Gus, and that will keep him so he can actually climb the tree now without it falling over. Is that
right.
What happened?
And nobody can steal our tree stand. I just that was a hazard.
Hey, Chelsea, I've noticed here around where I live in Western Connecticut, people often put small trees out on the stone steps leading up to the house or on the front porch. And, of course, they typically get blown over. But I guess if you can clamp it into a piece of concrete like that, a concrete base.
Right.
And plus, you could probably use it for other trees year-round, really, if you're going to get blown over.
Yeah, that's true.
If you don't paint it too Christmassy, I guess. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I poured it with the countertop concrete mix, so it's really smooth, fine finish, and it comes in like a white that you can tint, or like this kind of standard gray concrete color. So you can get some different looks depending on what material you use.
And did you use a mold of some sort?
Yeah, I actually used just a really big planter,
right.
And it's a whiskey barrel planter, so it starts a little bit small and it kind of fans out as it goes up,
right.
And really big. And then I put in a plastic trash can, basically upside down, and that's what created the void for the tree. For the tree trunk, but also it serves as it can help hold the water in.
Wow, it's very clever.
I intended it to stay in there.
Well, so many times people keep their Christmas and holiday decorations up in the attic. I'm sure your husband, Brandon's looking forward to hoisting that up into the attic. So
yeah, that might be something we have to keep downstairs for year-round. We'll figure out a way to incorporate that into the decor.
Well, that's just one example of a lot of the different things that you can find at checkingInWithChelsea.com. Dozens and dozens of videos, all type of projects, a lot of blogging going on there, a lot of pictures, a lot of great ideas that you might want to check it out to grab a few ideas that you can use right now before Christmas rolls in. Chelsea, always great to have you on the show, and you take care and happy holidays.
Okay, see y'all soon.
Okay,
Bye.
that sounds great. John is on today's Homeowner Hotline with us right now. John, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Danny. It's a pleasure. I listen to you, but I've never had occasion to call you guys. But I listen to all the helpful hints and the projects you guys are involved in.
Oh, great.
We appreciate that, and I know a lot of times you just stumble across something. Like sounds like you've stumbled across something here that's got you a little frustrated.
Yes, I did. I was visiting my son. He lives in Castleberry, Florida, which is just north of Orlando, and anyhow, we decided to pull up this old wall-to-wall carpeting that was installed there, and underneath there's this nice Florida tile, light-colored tile. It looks pretty darn good shape, other than needing the cleaning and all. But anyhow, we pull the the carpet up, and we pry up the tack strips around the perimeter, and what's left behind is the construction adhesive or whatever adhesive they use there to adhere the tack strips to the tile, and we're trying to figure out how to get the best way to get that up.
I got you. I know exactly what you're talking about because they had to glue that tack strip down. Usually they'll use a contact cement, which is pretty tough stuff. But fortunately, when you have a tile surface and hopefully it has some glazing on it, you have a little bit of it's pretty durable material. And Joe, in your tile book, I'm sure you approach that because it's a very common project. What would you suggest to John in terms of a solvent that might be able to cut to kind of dissolve all of that glue?
Yeah, John, there are solvents and liquid floor strippers, but I always, before I go to that, because that's going to dissolve it and you're going to end up with a gummy mess, and you may have to do that in the end, but I always prefer the dry scrape first. This is really hard, dry adhesive, and if you can get the right scraping method, you might be able to pop it up because it's not really soaking into the glazed tile, right? So it's not like it's on wood where it might soak in. So I would take a wide, like maybe 2 or 3 inch wide, really stiff bladed steel putty knife, wrap it in terry cloth, like a terry cloth washcloth, and try scraping it off so you can bust that up. You could do it without the washcloth, but I'd be afraid you might scrape it. But scrape up as much as you can, and then fill a bucket with 1 gallon of really hot water, not boiling water, but like really hot tap water. So a gallon of hot water, 1 cup of ammonia, and a few squirts of liquid dish soap. Put on some rubber gloves. Then whatever's left over, you can scrub it with a scouring pad, like a nylon scouring pad. That should get up whatever's left behind. Now, if that fails, then you will have to go to a liquid floor stripper. Goo Gone makes one called Pro Power, or you can try soaking it with acetone. But again, that sometimes makes it a bit of a gummy mess. So I would try those last 2 techniques, only if you can't dry scrape off most of it.
Okay. Well, that would be good. How about mechanically otherwise? Would you suggest maybe a belt sander or something like that?
Not unless you want to scratch up that tile because
I don't,
that glaze. Yeah, no, I wouldn't use a power tool on that, John, because I'd be concerned of what it would look like when you're done.
Well, it's certainly durable, but maybe not quite that durable. But hopefully that'll take care of it. A lot of elbow grease that you're going to have to take care of there. But hopefully we pointed you in the right direction.
We'll give it a shot. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right. Thanks so much for being with us. Time for our best new product segment, brought to you by the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Smart home accessories are everywhere these days, so it's just a matter of time until they start blending all together. Behold the Vision Smart Deadbolt with video doorbell smart lock from Lockley. As you probably guessed, it combines a video camera and a deadbolt to enhance your home security. The digital touchscreen displays an always shuffling keypad where the numbers are displayed in different locations every time you approach the door. The access code remains the same, but the numbers move around so prying eyes can't guess what the actual code is. It's just one other way to keep you good and secure. You can grant remote access and issue digital keys with specific time durations to allow guests to enter without using a smartphone. There's also an embedded 3D fingerprint sensor that can store store up to 99 fingerprints and recognizes only the original fingers that are scanned, making copied and lifted fingerprints useless. Now, you can manage and view access history from the comfort of your smartphone anytime with the Lockly app, and the door sensor will notify you anytime the door is open or closed. To get more information on this awesome product, head on over to homedepot.com. Another thing that we deal with quite a bit is the issues of mold and mildew. We have John on the phone right now from Pennsylvania that's having a few mildew issues. John, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's nice to speak with you folks.
Certainly. Well, tell us all about this. You're having some problems there and constantly having some mildew. So what's going on? Tell us about the bathroom itself.
Okay. Well, it's mildew, and I'm sure that a lot of your listening audience is kind of familiar with this problem. Mm-hmm. And we have a bathroom that goes off of our bedroom that is approximately 8 foot by 10 foot in size. Mm-hmm. And in the bathroom, we have a shower, we have a vanity, we have a toilet, and we have a window directly behind the toilet. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we have mildew on the walls, the ceiling, in the shower, on the walls of the shower, the sliding glass door, and it's just driving me crazy.
Yeah, it can drive you crazy and so hard to combat. Of course, we've got to get some good ventilation in there. So do you have any type of exhaust fan in the bathroom now?
Well, that's what I was just going to mention to you is I have a small exhaust fan in the ceiling.
Okay. And do you have any idea if that exhaust fan goes to the outside? A lot of times over the years, they just have them just dumping it into the attic or recirculating.
No, it's vented right through the roof and to the outside.
Okay.
And it doesn't have to travel very far either. It's only a matter of maybe 6 feet, 7 feet.
Okay. Well, that's an ideal situation because the longer that vent is, the venting for the exhaust fan, the less effective it is. Well, there's something going on there. Certainly, using the exhaust fan on each and every shower and, leaving it on for at least 10 minutes after that to get all that hot, moist air out of there is going to be the very best thing you could do to get rid of that mold and mildew. But there's just something that's just not working right. If maybe the flapper, you have this little damper inside the vent that when the vent is turned on, it should open and allow that hot, moist air out. If there's anything that's keeping that from opening, then it's basically going to push that hot air, wet air right back down into the bathroom. That would be one thing to check. Any idea how old this bathroom is?
I'm going to say...
I meant the bath fan, exactly what I meant.
Oh, I have no idea.
Okay.
The house is approximately 32 years old.
That might be the problem.
Yeah, exactly. I would strongly recommend replacing that. I'll tell you, you can go to Braun.com and check out their quick kits. It's pretty amazing that you can just pull the inside of that vent fan out and put one of these quick kits right in it, and it'll increase the speed and the cubic feet per minute movement by as much as 30%. And another good thing is it can also make it up to 50% quieter. So that might be a good move there.
Oh, that's a win-win situation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It definitely is because people are not going to use the fan as much as if it sounds like an aircraft engine up there. So I would I would really check that out because something's not working with that fan. If you're using it and if you have a fan and you still have mildew, there's something missing in that combination. And I think you'll see if you replace that the mold and mildew will drastically improve. I would also suggest that you check out Wet and Forget's shower spray. I know a lot of people, including my wife, that uses this all the time, and you spray it on the shower after you've had a shower only once a week. And it completely, keeps any mold or mildew from forming on any of those surfaces. So there's a number of things that you can do, but I would certainly think that exhaust fan is the very first thing that you need to tackle.
Okay, I will do that. But I have another question I should ask you.
Okay.
Is the window in the bathroom, should I open the window at any point?
Well, certainly, getting that fresh air in will help a lot. So much of a problem though is it's too cold, too hot, too humid in order to really help things. But if you've got a pleasant day, the more fresh air you can get in the house, the better. Opening that up, and that can also work in conjunction with an exhaust fan to bring that air from directly outside and exhaust it up through there. So, absolutely, I would certainly recommend using that whenever the weather is allows you to do so.
Well, another idea that I had was closing the bathroom door and opening the window and turning the exhaust fan on.
Yeah, definitely would be a good way. Again, introducing that fresh air in there is a lot better than pulling any of the conditioned air that you have in another part of the house there. So you're on the right track, but I would check that out at Broan.com, BROAN, and see if you can't find the solution on that one.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you so much for your. Can I just ask you one other idea that came into my mind was. A water softener. Would that have anything to do?
No, it wouldn't really. No, that wouldn't have anything to do with any of the mildew problems and things like that. I would think that that's just strictly the quality of water. Not a bad idea if you're having trouble with the water like that. But the main thing here is to get that exhaust fan working. But thanks so much for being with us, John, and check that out. I'm sure you'll find a very easy solution to that situation. Joe, for years and years they allowed code-wise for you to just simply have a window. I never understood that one because I don't care where you live in the country, there's only a handful of days that you probably can open that window.
Yeah, but John raised a couple of good points. If you have an exhaust fan and it's an old one and it's weak and it's not operating properly and you have the window and the door closed, you're creating a little bit of a vacuum. If you open the window, when I shower, I have the window open a little bit and I have the door open a little bit and the air just gets sucked right through that fan. So that's an easy way to get that hot air out, even if the fan's not operating at optimum performance.
Right. That's what we remind you a lot of times. So is use the fan each and every time and then allow it to stay on for about 10 minutes after to really get rid of all of that moist air. Our today's homeowner hotline is 800-946-4420. We got a lot of great calls, and more we're having people that are asking us questions, not leaving their name or number or everything. That's fine. We try to tackle a few of those each week as well. Let's get started on one right now from John.
Hi, thanks so much for your show. I enjoy it. I listen to your show out of a radio station from Delmarva, and my question is regarding asphalt roofing shingles, architectural type asphalt roofing shingles. Bottom line is my first 6 inches of plywood almost around the entire perimeter of my house is in bad shape, and I really believe I'm going to get at least 10 more years, maybe longer, out of these shingles, and I really don't want to do the entire job. It's quite cold weather now, and I'd like to do something about this, now. I watched some videos online as to how to pull shingles up, and my shingles are just so adhered together. The strips that glue themselves together, the tar or whatever, I can't get them apart easily. I'm damaging them, which, I expect to damage a few, but I can't go up like the 4 courses I need to remove the first 2 layers of shingles, replace the plywood, and, put some new replacement shingles in there. I'm wondering if you have a tip on working on architectural type asphalt shingles in the winter that are strongly bonded together.
I'll tell you this: those shingles, when they glue together like that, it's just amazing. They must have turned up the glue gun a little bit or something, because I mean to tell you, we on my house that we put the architectural style shingles on, and man, it's just impossible to try to put a roof in or something like that. It's just incredible. I guess, John, you're talking about cold weather. A lot of times that really helps you, because when even though they can be brittle, a lot of times that will allow you to slip that flat bar up between the shingles and actually separate that glue. That does help quite a bit on that. Joe, I wonder, you always think of one extreme or the other on this, where it's cold, it's you're able to split that glue apart with your flat bar or something similar.
Right.
But then you think, well, maybe carefully using a blowtorch, just a propane torch, if that wouldn't kind of loosen that glue up. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm not sure why John's concerned. He's not going to be replacing these shingles. There's no way to get them off without damaging them, right? So
yeah.
I would say just pull them off as well as you can. The only one he has to be concerned with is when he gets to the last course that he doesn't want to damage.
Right.
And whether it's hot or cold, those glue, and these are strips that are on the underside of the shingles. They get warmed by the sun, and it sticks them down so they don't blow off as easily in the wind, which makes them hard to remove. But I would just get the thinnest pry bar I could find, slip them up under there, and don't worry about damaging them because you have to replace them. Now, he has to find exactly the same color and manufacturer, of course, to try to match it. And then the challenge is removing all that plywood and replacing it. And by the way, if that plywood's being rotted all around the eave of the house, there's something up with his gutters.
Right. Absolutely, yeah, and also
that's only water backing up.
You would almost question how he would even know it if the shingles are covering it, and unless, because you're not being able to see it underneath unless you have open eave areas. So that is quite odd from that standpoint. But I've never seen a situation where you could take shingles off and reuse them, just like you said. You're gonna be buying some shingles one way or the other. All right, let's go to the next call. Judy is calling in.
Hi. We recently bought a 1942 farmhouse. They had a add-on bathroom and bedroom. The bathroom floors squeak when we walk across them. We just want to know how to fix them. Thank you.
You're welcome. You didn't mention what kind of floor this is. I assume it's a wooden floor. Or maybe it's got vinyl on it or carpet in part of maybe in the bedroom and squeaking underneath. So either way, if it's accessible from below, if there's a crawl space or a basement below, that's the easiest way to silence these squeaks. Have someone walk across the floor and get underneath it and listen to where that squeak is. And typically the subfloor is not firmly attached to the floor joist. And what you can do is just tap in, get some wooden shims, spread some glue on it, and tap them in. But you only want to tap them in very gently just to fill the space. Don't drive them all the way in because you'll be raising the floor. And what that does, of course, just fills that space so it prevents the subfloor from bouncing up and down and squeaking, typically on the nails that are screws that are trying to hold it in place. If it's not accessible from below, then there's a company called Squeak No More by O'Berry Industries, and squeak has like 6 E's in it. But in any case, it's basically this. It's hard to explain it, but there's these screws and this fixture that you can drive the screw through the fixture, and it goes through the flooring into the joist. That's important. You have to find the joist, the floor joist below, and then with this fixture, you tip it to an angle, and it snaps off the screw below the surface. So you just wind up with a little tiny hole, and you just patch that hole. So those are the two options, from below and above the flooring.
And, a very common problem. We hear that quite a bit, especially during this time of the year when it starts to get a little colder and you have the contraction that's going to, make those boards kind of contract a little bit, maybe allowing a little bit of room for that friction that causes the squeaks and the noises. And so it can be a big problem on that. I always like to mention, because I've tried it and it works so well, at least on a temporary fix, is the baby powder.
Oh, yeah.
Is taking the talcum powder, and if you have a wood floor and it's squeaking all of a sudden, and you just put that talcum powder over and just kind of take a dry rag and just kind of force it down into the cracks. It's doing nothing more than just insulating the friction that you have there, and it won't last forever, but it just always smells so good,
It does. It's like a lubricant, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like a dry.
Earplugs work well, too. They're pretty effective.
Yeah, that's true.
We have to get them for everybody in the house.
We know our listeners love great solutions for organization and storage, and there's no better way to corral the clutter than with beautiful cabinetry. We've put together a fantastic resource for you on todayshomeowner.com to help you navigate through everything you need to know about cabinets, from selection and finish to installation and storage accessories. Now, you can find our informative videos, articles, and a whole lot more. Just head over to todayshomeowner.com/allaboutcabinets. That's todayshomeowner.com/allaboutcabinets. all about cabinets. Brought to you by our friends at Cabinets to Go. Now it's time for our podcast question of the week. We'd love to hear your podcast question by going to todayshomeowner.com/podcast. This one comes from Maria in California. We're considering replacing our tub shower and converting it to a steam shower. Do you have any recommendations of some of the things we need to know so that we can assure ourselves that our contractor installs it properly? Now, we're confused as to the different types of lining that need to go up, and we don't want any kind of mold to occur due to exposure to the steam. We'd appreciate any insight or resource you can provide. Thank you very much, Joe. Certainly one of the first things is to make sure, just like she's doing here, to do it right, because people think that ceramic is waterproof and nothing will get through it, right. But that's definitely not the truth. You really got to start with a really good membrane on that wall.
Yeah, that's what I was going to suggest to Maria. The very first thing you have to do is all surfaces, floors, walls, ceilings have to be completely waterproof. And typically the way they do that is they roll on a liquid membrane. It looks like liquid rubber. And you roll it on there. Red Guard is one brand. And you roll it on and it dries. And I would recommend a second coat, by the way. You roll it on, brush it into the corners where the roller does it. It's not unlike painting, only you're using this rubber membrane. And then put on a second coat. And then you can put on whatever the finished wall surface is going to be, whether it's tile or solid surfacing or whatever. The steam generator needs, the mechanical part of this whole project needs to be sized to the room. You don't want one too big, and obviously you don't want one too small, so that's important. And also a lot of things contractors might overlook that's important is you may have to modify the shower door to include some kind of vent panel, or at least cut it short, because you need a flow of air coming in, you need some fresher air coming in. All this information should be in the instruction manual that you could get from the steam generator itself, from the manufacturer. So I would I would read that very carefully. So when the contractor does show up, you can say, by the way, I noticed this manufacturer requires, a vent cut into the door or under the door. Are you planning on doing that? Because you want to make sure this is operating correctly. As soon as he walks out the door and you pay that last check, because getting him to come back might be an issue, and sometimes it's a more difficult repair to try to retrofit something in that he should have put in the first place.
And, we always talk about the importance of proper ventilation in a bathroom, but no place is it more important than when you have a steam shower. So you may have to consider upgrading the size of your current exhaust fan, and by all means, make sure it exhausts all the way to the outside to really get rid of that steam once you finish that nice, relaxing steam shower that you'll have. It's Yeah, excuse me, I was going to say, and of course you need a plumber and an electrician, because the steam generator requires electricity and water. So, and where's that go? Ordinarily they go outside the shower, outside the steam shower, but there are units that get installed within the shower itself. If it's large enough, they can tuck it in underneath a bench. You can't install, if one is supposed to be installed outside, you can't install it inside. So Again, that's something else to keep in mind. Yeah, really good question, Maria, and best of luck to you on that great project there. And again, if you'd like to send us a question, todayshomeowner.com/podcast. Thanks so much each and every week, you listening, downloading. The number of people that are downloading our podcast has continued to increase each week, and a lot of that's to do with the great reviews that we're getting, the positive reviews, and a lot of the 5-star reviews. We appreciate each and every one of them. Keep them coming. I'm Danny Lipford, along with my buddy Joe Truini. Thanks so much for being with us on this Today's Homeowner Podcast.